It's actually crazy to think. Even from North Korea, you can't escape Starbucks. There's thousands of them in South Korea, but this one is 1.4 kilometers from North Korea. But why? Why is there a Starbucks so close to North Korea? Is it just to sip down some pumpkin spice lattes while looking at North Korea from your binoculars? Well, there might be a deeper reason. Let's go find out. It feels very South Korean to have a Starbucks in a place like this. It's a bit crazy here though. There's an insane amount of people visiting but also seeking shelter from the crazy wind. Well, to Peace. Peace is very sweet, apparently. Makes sense, I suppose. You see the birds passing from one side to the other, and it looks like a 10-minute walk. Like, it's so close.
Right outside Starbucks, the observation deck awaits. From here, we can easily check out the so-called show-off village, built in the 60s. And there's also plenty of binoculars to help us get a closer look at North Korea. Let's have a look. This is the closest I've felt to being some sort of spy. And since South Koreans are not allowed to visit the North, this is currently the closest you can get to seeing someone in person. We might be desensitized to the idea of interacting with North Koreans since it's possible to travel there, but for South Koreans, this is as close as it gets.
If we woke up this morning and you blindfolded me, brought me here and like, hey, look at that, I'd be like, oh yeah, cool. What is that? It's like, you can't even tell that it's North Korea. I mean, the way we hear about North Korea is, oh, it's this divided country, it's still at war, they're super, like, two worlds apart, but coming here, you feel like you could almost touch it. This division feels a lot less real once you see it with your own eyes, I guess. Then there's the question of why is there a Starbucks here? And of course, the real question is why is there an observatory here? Why do people come out here to just peer over the bay and look at North Korea? I mean, of course, it's tourism. North Korea is right there. It feels almost surreal to look at it. But there's also a lot of people who, since the countries were divided, they have family over there. It might even be that they grew up there and ended up on this side after the countries split. To have a place like this, to come out and just have a moment to look at what really is home, or your grandparents' home, it's very important, I think. And that maybe often gets lost in the overall fascination with North Korea. Because to be sure, it's a very strange place if you see it from the perspective of the whole dictatorship thing.
We met an elderly gentleman who was visiting for the first time in 50 years. He used to serve in the army and recalled how hungry everyone used to be. They were tough times, and people used to flee across the river, crossing at night around low tide. He also dreams of one day visiting the Kumgang mountain in the north, which was actually possible for some time, despite the countries being divided. Up until 2018, North and South occasionally worked together to arrange meetings between separated families. This man was told by his mother to flee south when the war broke out, separating him from his 3 brothers. Hoping that someone in his family might spot him, he went on a TV show many years later. And incredibly, his mother was in the south too, watching. And so they were reunited after living apart for 30 years. Many people live and pass not knowing the fate of their family, and at the age of 93, he found out that one of his brothers was still alive. I really can't imagine what it would be like to meet again after more than 70 years apart. In 2018, he was able to meet his only living brother. I've never seen North Korea before, and I'm glad I came here. I'd always imagined barbed wire, warning signs, and soldiers separating the countries. But coming here, there was none of that. Surrounded by nature and open air, I had space to think about the ordinary people still affected by what seems like history to others. It wasn't always South Koreans and North Koreans. It was just Koreans. And in many ways, it still is.